Alright, so the sink was really clogged. I plunged it and I also put a chemical I had in it. I got the water down, cleaned the sink up a little bit. It was right full of hot sauce because the hot sauce wouldn't go down when the dishes were being washed. I'll show you what a picture of that looks like right up here. In the meantime, though, I want to focus your attention on this P-trap. It is in really poor condition. As you can see, it's actually got electric tape or something at the top of it where it connects to the basket. So this needs to be changed out. Also, if you rub your finger on the underside of the trap, you'll see that I actually get moisture on my finger. It's wet under there. And the way that the dishwasher connects back here is very strange. That actually should be connected to the tailpiece coming out of the basket. So we got to change this basket out, and we're going to put a new PVC trap in here, and we're going to have to use a Fernco back there. So I'm going to show you how to do that right after this. You see this trap, what it's doing here? It's leaking. I told you the underside of it was rotted out. I put a little glass bowl down there to catch it, but this is definitely in poor repair. This is a real shit show. Look at this. I don't know who put this all in here, but when they did, they didn't do it well. And we're going to change out how that dishwasher connects, because that's ridiculous. Look at it. What a mess. What a mess. What a mess. What a mess. I don't know what all this black stuff is. It looks like electrical tape, but I'm not really sure. Look at that leaking, huh? This wall of it, look at this. Can you see that on the camera? Look at this. Look how thin this is. There ain't nothing to it. It's all thin. And I don't know what this gunk is on here, but this is terrible. Somebody put something on here that it doesn't come off. Well, look at there. Got straws and everything in here. Look at that. Look at that. It's electric tape. Friggin' electric tape. Wow, what a mess. What a mess. Is there a nut on here? I don't even know if there's a nut on there. I don't know what that is.
Teflon tape. There's not even a nut. It wasn't even in there. It was literally in there, maybe a quarter of an inch. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Got this pair of pliers that turns into needle nose when you flip it. I'm going to put that in the sink above.
Take special note of that rubber gasket in the basket assembly. It's almost slipped out from underneath of that bell housing.
Whatever they put on the pipes here is making it difficult for me to get this nut off the threads. It's cutting into it. It'll come. Just, I don't know what all this. Mercy sakes alive, that's hard. What is that shit? Some people shouldn't do plumbing. Maybe some people shouldn't do anything. She's coming. Wow. It's hard to hold it back from up above. Oh, man. Just doesn't want to come off of it. That's all I was doing. That's all I was doing is I put this down through the holes to keep it from spinning, and then I just held back on it from up here. That was all wet under there, so water must have been leaking around that as well. Be careful, this is sharp. You can cut your fingers if you're not careful. It's stainless steel. Alright, so I got a new basket for the sink. When you take one of these apart, you get this big nut on the bottom side of it. Sometimes they have that barrel that goes over it with a smaller nut. They work the same way though. And you've got a piece of cardboard here. That is not garbage. Do not discard that. You will need that. And then you've got this rubber gasket. Nice thick one too. This is a Glacier Bay model. It's about $35. If you buy the cheap $15 one that they have at the big box stores, there's a very good chance that you won't be able to hold water in the sink. So if your customer wants to hold water in the sink, you probably should go with the $35 one. And you can go up from there. You can get more expensive ones than $35. This is plumber's putty right here. You have to use that with these. Some bathroom sinks have rubber gaskets now, so you don't have to use plumber's putty, but most of them in the kitchen all require plumber's putty. Alright, so then you're going to take your plumber's putty and you're going to roll it out. And you can do this right in the sink. You could do it on the countertop. It won't hurt nothing. You're going to roll it out like you did when you were a kid playing with Play-Doh. And then wrap it around the basket strainer. If that happens, just overlap it. It's fine. Make sure it's completely covered in there like that. And see how that's all the way around. If there's writing on your basket, like usually it'll say incinerator or something when you put it in the garbage disposal, make sure that it's facing the right way in the sink so that the words aren't cocked off to the side. Sit it in place and push it down in there, just like so. It's okay if this oozes out. It's going to ooze out as you tighten it. Alright, so the first thing you're going to do is put your rubber gasket on. Then you're going to put your cardboard gasket on. And I should show you, there's a white side and a brown side. Brown side up, white side down. You want the slippery side of it facing down. And take your big nut. And put your nut on. Now I'm holding the top of this with my hand while I'm tightening it at the bottom. Do the same thing. You're going to drop your pair of pliers in the top of it. Only with a big nut like this, you need one of these wrenches. This is made for sink baskets. And this little hook will hook onto one of these and the other one will push against it. You want to keep that straight up there and tighten it down here. see how it all squished out there? You're just gonna clean that all up before you put your last bit of tightening down on it. Make sure it's in the center of the sinkhole. Alright, so make sure it's centered in the hole before you tighten it down the last couple threads. You want it to look centered in that hole. Make sure that your center piece here is exactly square, either this way or this way. It doesn't really matter. It's whatever makes you happy. And then as you tighten it from underneath, you want to watch from up here because you don't want it to move on you. Centered in the hole. Yep. And then after you get it in and it's all tight, you can use these to make just a tiny nudge in either direction. Make sure that that thing is square on the inside. And then clean up your putty. See how that looks? That's the way you want it to look. Don't worry about this. Tell your customer this is going to come out for a few days. They could just clean it up and throw it away. That's what it looks like in there. All right. Alright, so when you go to the big box store, this is what you end up getting. You either get 1.5 inches for the kitchen or 1.25 inches for the bathroom. 1.25 inches will be a green bag, not a purple. Typically anyway. Sometimes that's not always the case. And this here is a tailpiece, and it has the dishwasher connection on it. Dishwasher is supposed to connect to the tailpiece that's coming down from your strainer basket, not the way they have it here. And the nut comes right on it. So the washer looks like a top hat from the early 1900s. See, if it was a little taller, it looked like a hat that Lincoln wore. Those go in this way here, so they fit into the tailpiece and flat up against the bottom of your basket. And then this nut tightens it down so that it becomes leak-free. Now what we're going to be doing, you can use this same material. This is the lightweight, I guess you call it PVC, it's UPC or whatever. We can use that to do the trap and everything, but I don't like doing that because that is like a real flimsy, cheesy way of doing it. I would rather convert this over to Schedule 40, which is a thicker walled actual PVC product. And I'll show you what that looks like here. Right here. So see how thick that trap is compared to this little thing? Now they don't fit together very well, as you can see. They don't jive. So you can go to the store and you can purchase a trap adapter. Looks like this here. It's a threaded fitting with a built-in cap that has a washer as part of the design. So what will happen is this will slide onto here. This will slide onto here. You'll tighten that together, and then, I don't have a piece with me, I have to go get it, but then it will connect. Yeah, I'll use this piece here.
it will connect right to the PVC, the Schedule 40 stuff, as you can see. See? So that trap adapter adapts it to using the Schedule 40. And that's what I recommend you do anytime you do any kind of sink work, because this here is glued together. It's a solvent-based weld instead of being slip joints, which is the thread on. And anytime you have a thread on anything, it's going to open up possibility for a leak everywhere there's a connection. When you use a solvent base and you glue these together, it's not going to leak. As long as you get a good coating on there and you clean it first, you're not gonna have any leaks, and you're not gonna have to worry about it. Of course, the downside to it is you can't take it apart easily and put it back together. You have to cut it out and replace it. But under a sink, especially a kitchen sink, people cram a lot of stuff. They put, you know, well, you see all the stuff that's here: SOS pads and fire extinguishers and cleaners and wipes and scrub pads and extra dish soap and trash bags, all that stuff, rug cleaner. So that all gets crammed under the sink, and if they bump into the lightweight stuff, it could cause a leak. So the Schedule 40 stuff will stand up better against that kind of abuse. So we're going to do that. But first, what we have to do is we have to close off where that dishwasher is draining now, because this isn't proper. This is not how a dishwasher is supposed to drain. It's not supposed to drain straight down into a pipe and hit directly right there. It's supposed to go in on an angle like this one. See how it's a downward angle? It's supposed to go in and immediately down into the drain. So we're going to have to solder a cap on the end of that, as long as that's in good condition. And we're going to take apart that right now so we can see what kind of condition it is in.
You know, this really is a young man's job. The older you get, the harder it gets to get under these sinks. Your knees go to hell, your back goes to hell. You get aches and pains where you never had them before.
Yeah. It's just a 1/2-inch pipe. So, and it's in good condition. So we'll go ahead and solder a cap on there. You see it? Just a 1/2-inch pipe. So we'll clean it up. We'll solder a cap onto it. And we'll hook this up the right way. Alright, so I put this piece of steel up here, and just so I don't light the cabinet, burn the cabinet. You can also spray the cabinet with water if you wanted to.
I have to admit, I was shocked to find out that this just needed to be sanded and soldered. I've worked in this house a number of times, and I know that before they hired me, always hired the lowest bidder. It's absolutely fact. Everything in this house was done half-assed, and not only did I need to repair it, but I need to bring it up to code every time I repair something. So this was a pleasant surprise to think, wow, I could just sand this and solder a cap on. Well, here we go.
Yeah, put flux on it. If you use tinning flux has a little bit of solder in it. It'll actually help you make the soldering joint. This is just regular flux here. You also want to clean the inside of the cap. So just roll up your sandpaper a little bit. Get it in there and score it good. just like that. And you want to put flux in there as well.
Lead solder is permissible on waistlines, but I don't carry it in the
Like
truck
that.
because I don't want to accidentally use it on potable water.
Sit that right over the top of it. Now the trick to get solder to go up is to heat where you want the solder to go. So if you heat the cap, the solder will move up. If you heat the pipe, the solder will move down. And if any flux runs down the pipe, clean it off with a rag right away, because your solder will follow the flux. And if you don't want ugly drips running down, you want it to look professional, have a rag handy. Just like that. Now that we got that on, and that's all soldered, there's not going to be much water in there unless the line backs up. If the line backs up, the water will travel up that, but we'll just leave it like that. It should be fine. It's not going to be under any pressure. It's draining, but if it does back up, we don't want it to leak, and that's why we needed to solder that on there. All right, so we're just going to figure out where everything is going to be going temporarily. We're just going to thread some things on here lightly. We're not going to tighten anything down as of yet. Just light so you can move it around. See, this can fit to that. All right, so we got this up here. It's just loose. It still slides. And then this is a piece I cut right here. And we're just going to slide that up in there like that. And we have to figure out the exact height that needs to be. The way we're going to do that is we're going to take the trap and we're going to hold it here to where it needs to be. Actually, we might already be at the right height. Yeah, because we can adjust it. So we're good right there. You see how that works? Because this will go up and down. So we'll adjust it right to there. And then we need a piece of pipe to come out of the end of this and meet with that. Put it up here like this. And we'll mark it. Now I'm going to go cut this piece right on that black line right there. Alright, so if we have this end in here, as you can see, that'll pretty much fit right over that, give or take. Just like so. And then we're going to use an 1.5 to 1.25 reducer Fernco. And what this does is this slides onto both and allows you to connect PVC to that copper. That could go in there, that could go in there, and that's how it's going to look. See? It's going to come down from the basket right into schedule 40, into that trap, and then right out. And what you got to do, so you know how to put it all back together again is just put little registration lines on it. One right here onto there, so you know that's how it goes, and one on here, one on here, so you know how it goes.
Whoops, I did the inside when I should have done the outside. This actually etches the plastic. It actually puts like little microscopic grooves into the PVC, and the glue grabs a hold of them. So yes, it does clean off the dirt and debris, but it serves two purposes in the sense that it etches it. Alright, I'll do the other side of this one. This stuff is really nasty. If you get it on the floor or you get it on something, it isn't coming off. So make sure you're very careful with it. Even if you wipe it right up, it ain't coming off. Like a special opener you can use. I actually have one, but it's out in the service van. I don't feel like going and getting it. It just prevents you from denting it when you try to open it like that. So you see the two lines? Those are going to line up when we put it back together. Put it back together, twist it, and then hold it together for a 5 count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just like so. Now I did both sides of this, forgetting that I didn't really need to, because it's going into a fern coat. So just put it in there, hold it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So those are lined up. Now this one here, we put a line. Doesn't really matter, it's round. I was just trying to make sure I covered all bases with you. But you don't need to do it. You don't need to do it on a round piece like that that's going straight up in the air.
So that Roadrunner sound you keep hearing is actually my home camera system notifying me that there's motion. My kid's home from school today.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like so. And then this piece has to go on. Pin here. Like so. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's all she takes. one of the things you want to make sure you do is close your glue back up. Because I'll tell you right now, you spill that, you won't like yourself too much.
Notice the mess on the cardboard. That could have been on the floor. Always use something under your glue and cleaner. All right, listen for this sound. Hold on. Listen. Right there, I hit my back on a tile table that was in the middle of the kitchen. Oh my God.
All right, we'll get this piece of steel out of here now. It's cooled down by now. And put the nut on. Slide this up. Take that off, slide it into there, and then put it back on up here. I had to take it off from up here so I could get the fern coat, get it into the fern coat. All right, turn that. Everything lined up where you want it. All right, that's looking good. All right, nothing's real tight yet. Everything's still loose, still can be moved, including this nut up here. Okay, still loose, still can be moved. I'm gonna put the dishwasher line up here. That's a lot of tension on it. So we're gonna cut the dishwasher line. There's too much tension on it. All right, so I got this thing here. It's a PVC cutter. And it's ratcheting, so as you squeeze it, it just closes that guillotine. And I'm just going to cut this. Like that, so that this fits on without putting too much pressure on the tailpiece. Put too much pressure on that tailpiece and it'll be moving it out of the way on us. And we don't want to do that. Like that. Let me show you. See, it's right on there. And then we'll tighten it down. And then I kind of let the line tell me where the tailpiece is going to face. Because this can face any direction. If you put it on there and hold it here and let go of it, the line will kind of show you where it's got to go. I'll loosen this a little bit more. Move it right over here to the end. Oops, not that far. And tighten it back up. Alright, now we'll tighten this. We'll tighten this. And if you put one of these traps in that has this on the bottom, you want to make sure that's tight too. Because they don't come from the store tight. Make sure that's tight or water's going to leak out of it. Alright, those are all tight. Our cap is on. Everything's glued. Everything's put back together. It's got a new basket in the sink.
And now we're going to put that in there and see if it actually holds water. And you want to look down here and make sure it's not leaking. That seems to be all dry. You got to test it with holding water in the sink, and you got to test it with releasing water from the sink, because sometimes holding the water in the sink causes it to leak out around the basket where we put the plumber's putty. And when you release it, the drain pipes could be leaking. So you got to test both. And it's often good to put a good amount of water in here, because sometimes the amount of pressure that's behind the water, depending on how much is in there, if someone was to fill the sink up a good portion of the way, could produce a leak that doesn't happen when it's a small amount of water. Yeah, we're all good. Another great way to tell if you have a leak is you can take a pan, stick it under the sink with water in it. And once the water stops moving, if a drop hits it and it starts rippling, it's easier to see than a drop hitting something that might already be wet underneath the sink, or into an empty bucket or something, or onto a rag or a paper towel. Sometimes it's easier to miss. Moving water, it's hard to miss. And as you can see here, though, we don't have any leaks. It looks very good. All right, let's see what happens. Does it hold water? Oh, there's a bubble. Another bubble. So it doesn't hold water as good as it should, maybe. So a $35 Glacier Bay. And I pushed it down and reseated it. I don't see any more bubbles. All right, let's release it. Look at that. All very good, no drips. Now we'll have to test the dishwasher. We'll have to fill it up and tell it to empty. I'm going to fill this up one more time. Alright, so with the light on under the sink, when I remove this cap, you'll be able to see better. I'm going to put you right down in there and personal with it.
And that's the way it's supposed to drain.
Alright, so I got this on quick rinse and I started it, so it's going. I want this to rinse real fast so I can see what's happening up here, and hopefully we don't have any leaks from the dishwasher. I never leave anybody's residence without knowing if everything works and nothing leaks, because I don't like callbacks. And I'll tell you what a good day is. Some days you make money, some days you make friends, and on a good day you make both. Let's turn this light this way. There we go. There we go. Works good. No leaks. Ah, we do got a leak. Look. It is dripping. We gotta tighten that down. So it looks like this is on here loose. It didn't tighten down for some reason. I don't know what happened there. For some reason, that didn't tighten. I think it's tight now. Alright, so it's tight now. For some reason, it didn't tighten the first time. It was on there kind of loose. The impact didn't do it. So, I'm going to dry everything up here. And we're going to try it again. And get all the water off of everything. And this is why you don't leave a client's home until you test everything. Because they have to call you back. You didn't make the friends, you know what I'm saying? And you're after friends and money. You want to survive, you want to stay in business. Alright, so let's see here. Hit start. Not 1 hour wash. Quick rinse. Start. There she goes. Alright, here it comes. Starting to drain. Remember I told you about water? If that water starts moving, we know we got a leak. Yeah, it's draining good now. No drips. There it is. We're good. We're golden. We are golden. Yep. Alright, so here's what we got. We got a new basket, a new tailpiece with dishwasher connection, an 1.5-inch trap adapter, Schedule 40 PVC 1.5 inch into a Schedule 40 PVC trap, P-trap, into an 1.5 to 1.25 inch Fernco. And that's just a copper cap that we soldered on. Alright, so with that, the sink was an easy job. Sometimes you run into problems where the pipes won't line up easily and you gotta finagle things and have things in weird angles. That was a pretty straightforward deal. I didn't want to do this in the house because I didn't want nobody to hear me say all this, because I don't know who did this work. It could have been the handiwork of somebody that, you know, maybe a husband or something. This here, there's a nut on here, a slip nut that was onto the old basket, and it must have been leaking, so somebody put electrical tape around it and then heated it, because some of it melted and dripped down here, and I think that's what all this gobbledygook is. But what I want to show you is, this is supposed to be very rigid brass, and this is the tailpiece. Watch. I shouldn't be able to do that. I should not be able to drive a screwdriver through the tailpiece. And these brass P-traps, if you look at the bottom, water hangs out in these the whole life. That's what keeps the sewer gases from leaking into your house. So there's always water in here. Now, brass does corrode over time. Don't care what anybody tells you, it corrodes over time, especially if there's minerals in the water. And if you have water, city water or something, there's going to be a little bit of, you know, iron in it. It's going to be a little bit of every trace amounts of everything in it. But look at the bottom of this, how soft this is. I can literally cut it without even trying. Just a wide open trap here. And look what's in here. We've got a straw. Another straw. Another straw. Plus we already took, I think, 2 out of there. And then you've got, of course, all this crap that hangs down on the bottom, and that all helps it rot too. Oh, look, another straw. We're up to 6 straws. So there you have it. That's what it looks like. And as long as nobody touches it and disturbs it, even when it's real thin like that, sometimes it don't leak for a long time. But when you rub it, or if something rubs up against it, it creates a little bit of surface tension or something, and causes the rot to start eating through it. So that's what it looks like. It didn't have much life left in it. It's very, very weak, and I can even put the handle right through. There wasn't much life left in this. It's a good thing we changed it when we did. Otherwise, if a full sink was let go, God only knows where that would have went. Probably all over the kitchen floor. So, listen, I got lots of videos. I'm always adding new ones. There's plenty of places out there where you can get information. But, you know, you can never have too much free information. It's the way I look at it. You watch somebody's video, you don't quite get it, or they didn't explain something just right, you watch the next person's video. And then you pick up a little bit from 2 or 3 videos, and then that builds your confidence, and you feel like you can go ahead and do it. Go ahead and subscribe. Watch my videos. Reference them when you need to. If you have a question, put it in the comments. I don't mind. I'll answer any question I possibly can. And if I don't know the answer, I'm not gonna bullshit you. I'm gonna tell you, listen, I don't really know. You're gonna have to ask somebody else, or I'll try to find the information for you. But none of this is rocket science. If I can do it, you can do it. I'll see you next time.